Hey guys, how you doing? It's time for another interesting line in the Vienna game for when you're playing with the white pieces. Now this is a Gambit line called the Steinitz Gambit that I've only come across recently, and it's kind of interesting. And it comes from a similar starting position to, so this is the Vienna game. And then if your opponent copies the knight move with knight c6, now traditionally I've always played my bishop out here, and if they copy again, you play your queen out to g4, probably going into this very, very interesting and sharp and dangerous queen trap line. But I can't tell you the number of times I've missed that my opponent moves the d pawn and I end up blundering my queen. Anyway, so this is a completely different direction from this point. And if you're a Vienna Gambit player, then this will feel a bit more familiar to you. So here you play f4 rather than bishop out. Now, so if we look at, what have I got the Lichess database set to? All the ratings, rapid and blitz, right? So pretty standard stuff. Now f4 is only the third most common move here. Bishop c4 is by far the most common. It scores 52% for white. Knight f3, normal, is 49% for white. And then f4 is the third most common. This is the Steinitz Gambit, okay? And then the other one is g3. And I have seen somebody play this one recently. I haven't looked into that one at all, but this is the Steinitz Gambit. That's the third most common move and scores 53% for white against 43. Now, from here, the first thing that you've got to know and the first thing you've got to learn is what to do if your opponent plays the most, what basically they'll take here, okay? So this is not the Steinitz Gambit, right? This is actually a variation of the Vienna Gambit. This is like the Vienna Gambit, but they've got their knight out on c6 instead of the knight out on f6, right? But Lichess still calls this the Vienna Gambit. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So they take, and then you push d4, and this is the Steinitz, right? This is the Steinitz Gambit. You have gone for a massive center, and we have deflected, we've sacrificed Freddie for the greater good, for the good of a center and advanced development. Now, this is where it gets funky, okay? Because the most, well, there's like four typical lines. You might get knight f6 if your opponent just doesn't really know what to do, or bishop e7, but both of these score very well for white because of this huge center, and you're getting ready just to deploy, get castled, win back your pawn, and go on about your day. Now, the first thing you've got to know is this. This is the most common move, only just. G5 is also common, we'll get onto that, but what if they do this? Queen h4 check, and you haven't got your knight on f3. Oh no, right? What do you do? Well, it ain't too bad. Now it looks horrible here for white, with black winning 55 against 42% of the time. But you play king e2. Now Magnus has played this, and now what your opponent is thinking is, aha, do you know what? If I can get my bishop to here, I have a skewer on king and queen, right? Or at least I'll make him block with a knight, blah, blah, blah. So your opponent's very likely to play d6. 1000, this is, twice as common as the second most popular move, okay? And then you just drop your knight in here and hit the queen. So your opponent goes, oh no, you don't, right? And pins the knight against the king. So you can't do that, right? And now you just grab this pawn back, and this looks all kinds of shades of brown from a white perspective, but it's not. And suddenly, from this position, white's winning 53 against 42% of the time. What the huh? Okay. Now, bishop takes knight. And here's the problem. Now that the bishop's moved, there's a discovered attack on this bishop, right? So bishop takes knight. You'd love to take back with the g-pawn towards the center, blah, 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 but you drop your bish. Can't do it, right? What happens? You've got to take with the king. And you're sitting there at home going, Hunter, you've lost your mind, you nutter. This isn't proper chess at all. But wait, hold on, right? Black has a queen out in the board, right? Doesn't have a center. We've got two pieces developed. Yes, the king's gone walkabout, right? But bear with me, it ain't too bad. So your opponent will most likely develop his knight. Okay, and now you push g3 and hit the queen. Now, if the queen goes to g4, again, twice as popular as the next most popular move, right? You slide your king down to g2 and 67 to 30 in white's favour from this position, right? This pawn is defended by the knight. This pawn is defended by the queen. You've got a nice bishop defended by a pawn here. Now, if black wants to trade queens, then it's 73% win rate to white. Okay, let's just explore that. And the rook recaptures, and happy days, right? This bishop's going to come flying out into the board. This rook's going to centralise. We've got a reasonable pawn structure. We've got a 5 and a 2. What's not to like about this position? Okay, and we've still got both bishops. Okay, so that's not great for black. The most common, slightly more common here with 12 moves against 11 is long castles. And here you just nab the queen, right? And you stick your rook on d1 anyway. And 83% win rate here to white. So this is very, very interesting. So that's the queen h4 check line, right? Not to be feared, right? Don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah, you know what to do. You advance your king, right? You advance your king here. They're going to prepare this. You attack the queen. They bring that anyway. You grab the pawn back. They grab this. You take back with the king, preventing this. Okay, they'll do something. You hit the queen. La-di-da. And here. And you're laughing. You're absolutely fine. So don't worry about that. It's all good. Okay, so let's go back to the start. Okay, so again, e4, e5, Vienna, semi-copycat, right? So you started copying, and you hit them with f4, right? The third most common response, was it? Yeah, third most common. Okay, they take. I haven't looked at the declined lines yet, so forgive me. And now, if they don't play queen h4, this is the most common, right? But this is not scary either. Don't worry about this. g5, right? There's a weird horse meat line, isn't there, that I made a video on a while ago, where you actually allow this pawn to come up and grab your knight, but this is a slightly different scenario. Okay, so from here, so the idea is that this pawn is preventing your bishop from recapturing the extra pawn, right? Which is generally a bad idea in gambits. So what you do is you throw in h4, okay? Pawns get less valuable the nearer towards the edge that you get, right? Somebody's once said that if the central pawns are worth $1, then these guys are worth 90 cents, these are worth 80, and these are worth 70, right? So you're saying to black, you know, just grab this and we'll be all right. Now, if bishop g7, you push d5, attacking the knight, and white is actually slightly better here. If I stick on the engine, white is plus 1.4 already. Okay, this knight's going to have to move with tempo, and you'll probably grab this pawn off, and so on and so forth. So I haven't looked too deeply into that. If you push h4 and they try f6, this is the next most common, total blunder. Total blunder. Can you see the next move for white, which is essentially, you know, putting the final nail in the coffin? Queen h5 check. Queen h5 check, there's nothing to block. The king's going to have to move. King's going to have to go here, right? And then it's just curtains, really. You know, you're going to decimate black's pawns. You can get your king to safety very easily, and then just push these guys through. So all good. So that's g5. So we're not scared of g5 at all, right? The next to look at is d6. And, you know, this isn't too bad. You just capture with the bishop. And, you know, you've got a lead in development and this strong centre. You've got your pawn back, right? So there's nothing wrong with that position. White is, as we can see, again, plus 1.3. White is already slightly better. Now, if your opponent really knows what they are doing from this point in time, then they may play the best move, for black, which is actually bishop b4. Right? This is a move that you see fairly often, but again, this can only get equality for black. Okay, so I'll take you just through this line very quickly. You grab the pawn back. Let's say they bring the knight out. You pin the knight. They push a pawn. And you can push here. And here it's actually completely equal, right? They might push h6 to try and disturb the bishop. But, you know, this is an equal position, as we can see. And you just crack on from this point and play chess. Okay? So you might grab the knight, they might grab the bishop, double their pawns, you get your queen out, get castled, and all good. You might even bring your knight here as well. But you've still got options of castling either side quite quickly as well. So that's it, basically. Just a very quick introduction to the Steinitz Gambit. So let me know in the comments, is this a line that you play personally in the Vienna? If you're a Vienna Gambit addict, like me, then this makes a lot of sense, right? We're throwing Freddie up there, and it's just a whole different world to this line. I mean, very often with this, they won't go for the full copycat. You'll get like knight out, you'll get d6, something like that, and it's still all right, you know. But I like this. I like this early Freddie leap, and quite honestly, you know, there's no real way for black to come back and punish you for this. So it all seems like there's no real downside to this as far as I can see right now. But like I say, it's in my repertoire. It's in my lead chess study for the Vienna game. So please feel free to come along and browse that, nick it, have a go, and let me know what you think in the comments. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you soon.